So how I'd educate them is imagine if you went to a party and you got everyone to this party, but there was no catering. There was no party games. No one had greeted you at the door. Would you turn around and go back in your car and go home and go back into like your jammies and read a book because that's way more exciting than going to this party? Yes, you would.
Yeah.
So I tell them that, like, imagine you finally get this lead, which is hard enough.
Stop and don't spend another single cent on advertising until you listen to this. I'm Marianne Amies. This is Ready, Set, Paid Ads, digital marketing for paid ad success. Let's go. In this episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads, I'm joined by Nataleigh Elzein from Pinch Studios. Natalie's the founder and lead strategist of Pinch Studios, a company dedicated to helping industry disruptors gain confidence in their message. In today's chat, when we dive into ads, Nataleigh shares more around the process for your lead generation, for your sales, and why it's so important to not start doing ads until you clearly know how you can connect, nurture, and convert the leads you bring into your business. We have a fascinating chat around the digital ecosystem, but also a business's processes and ensuring that your team, your sales team, and your marketing team, they're all ready to work together with the same objective of bringing in new customers to your business, nurturing them, converting them, and then continuing to nurture them afterwards. It's a great chat, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. I'm excited to be joined by my friend Nat Elzein today from Pinch Studios. How you going, Nat?
I'm good. The sun is shining. It's a great day for a Wednesday. So, I can't complain.
It is a beautiful day. Yeah, it's actually one of those not too hot, not too cold, like the perfect combination.
You're not going to go outside and then have to have a second shower when you come
gosh,
back in.
like the last kind of month of Sydney weather. So no, beautiful day. And look, to start off, I'd love you to just introduce yourself to everyone. Tell us a bit about you.
Yeah. So I run, Pinch Studios is basically a creative agency, and we do a lot of holistic marketing. What that means is it's actually not just marketing, but we look at, the foundations, the systems that support the marketing efforts. And then also I help my clients with the sales processes so they can actually slam dunk the leads that they actually get in, which is nice. But yeah, I work with a lot of industry disruptors. They're very much like, we are so fed up with our industry and the status quo. So they're like building a movement, wanting to get a community and just, raising the standards. And I'm all for that.
I love that. What a great niche. I think obviously it makes your work really interesting and exciting. And I think there is, I wouldn't consider myself a disruptor. I'm such a, what's the word? I'm just such a consistent, steady person. I don't like to be offensive. And I cop a lot of flack from some of my business friends about, you're never controversial. I'm like, well, I am offline. I just am not in my business world. But I think even my industry, your industry, like there is just so much you look at and you go, oh God, we're all saying the same thing. We're all trying the same way and there has to be a different way. So I think that, such a fascinating sort of place to work with and partner with people that are doing that.
Yeah. And you know what? It really helps me get into that more partner zone with my clients because I had visibility over many of the functions of the business. And it all kind of happened when it was very much when last year or the year before, I had to step back into get a job. Things were a bit crap on my end.
Yeah.
But I went into the business meant to be a video content creator, but ended up talking to the GM and going, hey, did you know your marketing sales teams are working in silos? They should be working together, informing each other and building each other up. And it was then when she's like, do you want to train them? And I was like, I'm like, okay. So I brought in the stuff that I was doing in my own business at the time and started training teams. And I just felt, one, satisfied in my job, but also knowing that we're not just getting reach, we're actually getting the conversion. And I have data now that I can be like, these are the outcomes that we did for our clients. So it's great. And when they're so ambitious and passionate, it's hard not to get addicted to that type of work.
Totally. And you're like so right about marketing and sales. Like even in my corporate day, like marketing sales were always arch enemies. You know, it was always the other person's fault. So in marketing, I'd always be kind of copying it from a sales manager that we didn't have the right campaign or we didn't launch the right product. And we'd be like, well, no, you guys just can't sell it. You guys aren't, you're not doing your job. And there is that friction between marketing and sales. And then that leads to like the no communication. And
That's right.
at the end of the day, you both have the same goal. It's just you're
Exactly.
trying to get there in slightly different ways, but neither of you can get there without each other. So yeah, I think that's fantastic to help businesses bring all of that. And then all the systems and processes, obviously,
That's
that
right.
below it, right?
Yeah. You would understand. I mean, us having our own cycles,
Mm.
like there's some weeks where I love strategy. I'm like, I can deep dive and get into it. There's some days I just want to sit in front of the TV and like build out an email automation and a whole system. And
Yeah.
it's really comprehensive and great. There's different types of the brain.
Yeah.
So it depends on your energy level. So I'm just glad I get to do all of it and I get to choose like what I do and when I do it and who I do it with. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, today we're going to talk all about paid ads and, maybe how that's helped, maybe how it hasn't, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to ask you the question I love to ask, which is, do you ads?
Personally, I don't ads yet, but I have dabbled in terms of like, I reached out to someone literally this year and said to them, I'm doing this really big campaign and I do believe it needs ads. I know my organic strategy. I know what works. I know what messaging resonates. So I do feel compelled to actually create some ads out there and just get more reach for that. With my clients, I definitely do ads because we have that holistic function. And I only ever do it with the clients that I know the organic is working.
Yeah,
So,
amazing.
yeah, like you probably know, people come to you and they're like, oh, I just want ads done. And you're like, well, that's not going to work as well because, have you thought about your email marketing? Like, what happens when they get to the ad? What does your website look like? Are you going to convert? So there's all these steps to put in place first. So when a client usually comes to me, obviously I do like something like a diagnostic, though I don't tell them it's a diagnostic. That's not a sexy word. But I just kind of like, walk them through what they've already got and go, from where you're at, this is where I think we should start. And then maybe in 6 months' time, we'll start doing some ad work because I want it to work for them, especially because there's all the learning and everything.
Oh, totally, totally. And I think that is so, I mean, obviously, yes, you're singing directly from the songbook I like to sing from too. So, it's completely aligned. What I find is people call up and they say, oh, our sales are low. We just want to turn on some ads. Oh, how much is it to just run some ads? And you're 100% right. There is no just run some ads because I think as well that narrative about we got burned by an ads expert or we got burned by a company that did our ads. What they don't say to anybody is we didn't ask them to audit anything. We told them what we wanted to run. We said we didn't want a new website. We're not interested in doing organic socials and we have no email marketing. But the agency burnt us because the ads didn't work. And it is an ecosystem. And it's almost like what you were saying about how you could see marketing and sales not talking to each other and that being like the gap to success. It's with ads. The gap to success is that ads alone cannot get you there.
Especially if you're service-based.
Oh, yeah.
Like e-commerce, I totally, like I get it. A lot of their reach is driven by ads, and email lists are secondary.
Yeah.
But if you're service-based, I would actually say it's pretty much the opposite because you need to know what your community want.
Yeah.
Before you start, you need to know what you stand for. You need to know what is that niche or what is that message that you want to get across there and does it resonate? Has it got voice of customer? All this stuff before putting it out there. And then you're like, why are there crickets? Well, you didn't test it. You didn't test the market first.
Yeah. 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 And you're so right. I mean, with service-based, none of us go online, get served an ad for a lawyer, for an accountant, for any sort of professional service. HR, whatever it might be, and we sign up to the $2,500 or the $3,000 package or from an ad. Like, there is a long lead and there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of trust and credibility. And if you don't have all those other bits and pieces working at the same time, you're not going to convert. And again, a company can perhaps bring you leads, but if you have no process of what to do with those leads, which comes back to what you were talking about earlier. So I think that's a great conversation as well. In your experience, the businesses that you're working with, how do you educate them on what to do with a lead once it comes in the door?
Yeah. So basically when they come to me, they are those people who we were burnt by an agency. And I'm like, look, I've heard it a million times. And then obviously I don't want to put the blame on them as well.
No,
but
you can't.
I also think us agencies also have to take some of the hit as well, because we should have educated them at that consideration phase.
Yeah, totally.
But when they come to me and I say, well, we're not starting with ads, they kind of feel relieved. And I'm like, yes, but that's only because we need to do X, Y, Z. There's a lot of investment to put into this. So how I'd educate them is, imagine if you went to a party and you got everyone to this party, but there was no catering. There was no party games. No one had greeted you at the door. Would you turn around and go back in your car and go home and go back into your jammies and read a book, because that's way more exciting than going to this party? Yes, you would.
Yeah.
So I tell them about imagine you finally get this lead, which is hard enough. It's hard enough to get someone, hey, look at me. This is who I am. This is what I do. You align with that. Great. Learn more about me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they go to my Instagram or they go to my LinkedIn and they read about the post. Okay, I really like this person's approach and this philosophy. I want to learn more. They go to the website or they look at a lead magnet and they go, great, that's actually really interesting. Download. Yeah. And then I tell them it's like dating this person.
Yes, correct.
You need to move them through before you get down on that knee and commit. Trust me.
It's so true.
Yeah. So I educate them like that and they go, that makes sense. And I'd say to them, it's better to do it, put the systems in place, get the market research done, do all this foundational work, because then when we turn this marketing tap on, you'll see it actually convert rather than also at the same time, especially if they have a team. I go, imagine your team is overwhelmed. Your marketing's working, we're getting you leads, but they don't know what to do with them. Yeah. Not only are they overwhelmed and stressed, but the experience your prospects are getting is low. Yeah. And it's that first impression that is everything.
Yeah, totally. And on that, part of that first impression is everything that they see, So if you're running an amazing ads campaign and they go to your organic, but you haven't posted in 3 months, then you go, oh, what's this? This feels spammy. I loved the ad, but hang on, they're not posting. What does that mean? If you go to the website and it's narrow and full of horrible stock images and something's kind of broken, we're all looking for those trust and credibility check marks along the way. And if everything's not ready, it is like internet dating. It is like any dating, it's like, oh, I've sent a text message and he hasn't replied.
Yeah.
I'm not going to send another message.
No,
I text
a double message.
It's done. And it is. It's those systems and processes of how you are going to go on that journey. And the other amazing thing is if you turn it on its head and you start with the foundations first, you might not even end up needing to run the ads.
No.
You might build a great website, have a great organic presence, start emailing the database you do have, and you might find that brings in 2 or 3 leads and that's enough. It's not work that is ever wasted.
No. And I think it's also good, especially if you're either just starting out or you're in the first couple of years, we're still trying to understand who we are and what we want to do with our business. It's once you actually get these leads and you put them through your service or, your product or whatever it may be, then I would actually think that you're still testing. You're kind of still in the testing phase. So it's good not to have a bunch of leads at the start, because you really want to make sure that your service delivery is on point.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to go, one, they'll give you feedback instantly, and which is great. And then you can input that into and implement it into your service again. But then they're going to go to their friends and their business associates and talk about you. And that word of mouth happens, which is so beautiful when someone's just like raving about you at like an event or something. And yeah, you won't need ads at that point in time. And it's just like, maybe if you're launching something new, you've already got that community. And you can use those ads as a retargeting strategy rather than that top of funnel stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I think in a market where maybe people are more cost sensitive, or in a market where there is a longer lead time as well, not having to think that ads are your only hope. Like, I feel like when you go into ads with that desperation that, I've got my last $100 and I'm going to put it, it's almost like going to the casino, I'm going to put it all on ads. It's unlikely that you're going to get the results that you want.
Yeah. Whereas I would probably go to that person and say, with that $100, I'd rather you learn about sales or learn how to have a better discovery call. Like, what is that thing that is actually going to bring them over the line when you finally do get that lead? Yeah, I wouldn't put it into ads. Or maybe I would even upgrade my CRM, something that's going to do something for my business. And like you said, the lead time, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 12 months, sometimes it's 3 months. But if you're doing ads every month, that's money going out the door that you could probably be putting towards a marketer or someone else.
Yeah, totally. Or something long term. And you touch on CRM, and I know that you're passionate about those systems in CRM as well. But I feel like for a lot of businesses, that's overlooked.
Oh, completely. And I literally just did a post today. Of course I did, but it's about leads because I think it's really important. I mean, marketing is sexy. Marketing is fun, right? Sales, they're like itchy, but it's something that we all have to do. Like, otherwise, why are we here kind of thing? If we want to create impact, we need to make money. We need to make profit. So having a CRM, having the visibility over your pipeline, where people are at every point in that customer journey is so beneficial to know because it actually helps you know how to start the conversation. Because let's say if they download the lead magnet and then they went to this webinar or you met at this event, it's like you already have such a rich history that you can build on. And, in LinkedIn or whatnot, you can comment about it or you can DM them about it and build that relationship. And see where they are in that pipeline. It's super important, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's kind of like it's your key to scale. When there's only 2 or 3 leads coming in, or when you're only meeting a couple of people, you can hold that stuff in your head. You can remember where that proposal is at, or that person you were meant to follow up, or that, I remember that, Nat loves a cappuccino. So if I see her at the event again, I'm going to get her a cappuccino. Like, you can remember that. But then when your business grows to that next level and you've got a team, or when it grows to that next level and that you're getting 20 or 30 leads a month, if there's no process for where they go in, how they're flagged. And to me, if a system's not flagging you, your whole business then is relying on you flagging you. And I think that's where people fall down.
Oh, completely. I mean, the fact that you were talking about like the cappuccino thing, I do say to my fiance, I'm like, CRM is like a digital Rolodex. Like it's everything. Like anytime I have a chat with someone and they say something really important or they talk about their family or they talk about their kids, I'm like, look, I know I'm not going to remember all that because we have a million and one things that we're doing, but I will type a note and put it in the notes file so that when I reach out or know that their birthday is coming up, I can like give them a little message and it actually just makes them feel a lot more valued as well and go, oh my God, you remembered that. I'm like, kind of, but I did because I put the effort in to put it into my system.
Yeah.
But even when, like you were saying, when you scale, when you have a team, when there's too many fingers in the pie, that's when things can go wrong. So if you have a central system that is like the North Star of your entire business, it's so easy to just go, oh, where's Frank at? Oh, he's actually here. We sent that proposal. He's on email 3 of our post-proposal sequence. Maybe it's time to get on a call and have a chat with him to see what might be the friction there.
Yeah.
Like it's just so good in notifying you to do the next step as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you said there about that human intervention, because I think we're all pushed to rely on automations, and automations are great, obviously, but there's that human intervention of it as well, because if you've got a 5 email nurture sequence after the proposal and you just let them run its course, but you never actually check in on that, maybe it's bouncing, maybe something happened with their email, or to your point, maybe it's just a phone call that they need, and that will be the thing that gets them over the line. Having that system where it's automating, but you're able to see at a glance where people are at. Then when you have a sales team, having them to be able to report to you on that, of where multiple leads are at, I feel like that is the engine room that, again, justifies investing in your marketing.
Oh, completely, completely. And that's what marketing's supposed to do. And that's why, so marketing, I believe, is supposed to support that sales function. It's like, it's supposed to give the resources, supposed to give the messaging. It's like, yeah, here's the gift that keeps on giving. But the sales is supposed to go, well, this is what's actually happening in the field. I think I actually did an analogy, those spy movies.
Yeah.
And there's the agent in the field, and they're, and then marketing's on the other end going, there's an enemy, on corner 3, go left. I feel like that is the sort of relationship that we have, and it should be celebrated in that way. But when everyone's on the same page, then you can focus on less things like the fires that you're trying to troubleshoot, but more so like, how are we going to propel our business forward? Like, what impact do we want to create? What other things can we get into rather than just the day-to-day?
Yeah. And I think that, again, like, such a good point, because it's that information that sales can flow back. And I know our experience with our clients, they're almost the sales. We are the marketing lead generation engine for them. And they are the sales. We had builder clients in yesterday that we've worked with for a few years, and we were doing like a 6-month catch up. And we were saying, like, we literally generated 290 leads for you in that 6-month period. Like, that's massive. And I was saying, I know they can't all be great leads.
Yeah.
Or I know they can't all have converted. I know they can't all have been, but tell us about them. Like, what are you finding? How many were people just applying for jobs? How many were just pricing tire kicker people? How many were exactly what you wanted? And we were saying, like, we need that information every month. Like, my ads manager was there, and I was like, if you could give Johanna that information just on a monthly basis, like, okay, 2 were amazing, I think they came through from Google, or, 2 were amazing, this is what they wanted. Like, we can then use that intel back into the marketing. And without that, and I think this is where marketing and sales does disconnect, is that marketing thinks they've done this amazing job. Like, we did a great job. We had a great camp. It looked good. It was on brand.
Look at the data, the ROAS, everything was great.
Look how pretty it is. And they're like, we convert, it's not selling, it's not right in the market. And I think that's where sales has the coal face. I used to work at Pacific Brands, and so I was in product development. So we would develop the bras for the season, and then sales had to sell it in to Myer and Kmart and all those things. And it's the feedback from them that you get, where it's like, well, they said that the elastication wasn't as good as this other brand, or they're not finding $24.95 is selling. They need something at $19.95. And without that feedback, that 360-degree feedback, neither of us can do the job right.
That's right. You're just like a hamster in a hamster wheel at that point. You just keep going. And then isn't that the version or the definition of insanity?
Yes, correct. Doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, what I tell my clients, I'm like, like you, I say, I need to know what they're saying. Like, in those demo calls, or if you're in a sales call, what are the words they're saying? Just write some notes or have a transcription when you're online. Let me see them so that I can use that within my messaging and my copy, because that stuff is gold. So it's actually gotten to a point where I have a few clients that I would say are more introverted. They are great at delivery in terms of their product and their service, but they're not the sales. Like, they just don't like that function. They don't thrive in it, and that's fine. Like, yes, we've done a bit of coaching. They're like, no, that's not for me. So I've gotten to a point in the last few months where I'm like, I'll do it. So I'm like, I'm the marketing, I'm the sales. I can go, like, I've seen, and I can see what's working. And they see that it's working as well. They're just like, wow, okay, our marketing is getting so much better, because, and I was like, well, yeah, because I'm informing myself on what's being said in the market as well. But I think you just have to have a really candid conversation with yourself, because I think prior to this, I was super naive, and I thought, oh, well, all business owners can sell. That's what we're meant to be doing. But that's just not the case for some people. And that's okay. They're really good at implementing. Whereas I'm like, I'm a strategist. I prefer strategy and vision building and like the big picture thinking and relationships and talking to people. And then putting social media posts or scheduling, I'd rather someone else do that. So if someone just gave me a sales function, I'd be happy days. And yeah, it's just interesting how the role that I used to be has evolved, which I like. It's really, really cool. And I feel like I'm getting more into that. And I think that actually leans into how you said, yeah, you're obsessed with systems. I'm like, it makes sense. I fell into marketing because it's what I did first. And then now I'm like evolving this business to have all the function as well.
Yeah. And I think that thing about sales, I mean, I spend so much time, and I shouldn't, telling people that I hate sales. And from a mindset perspective, I probably shouldn't keep telling myself that I hate sales. But then for 15 years, I'm the only person that's done sales for my business. So, you know, so I'm like, I hate sales. I'm not good at it. But it's like, well, I like hearing people's problems. I like understanding the solutions that would help them. And I think I'm very genuine and honest. I would never recommend somebody something that they don't need. I'll tell somebody no for something that they think they need. Someone might be trying to upsell themselves and I'll be like, no, to be honest, you don't need that. And I think that empathy and that emotional intelligence is so important in sales. And it's almost like when you look at it, it's like we associate sales with the car salesman and, you know, all those negatives. But really, you know, and everybody says it, sales is serving. Sales is how can I help this person solve their problem, you know, get from the state they are now to the state they want to be. And it's natural that you've been able to take that kind of marketing perspective and then even the systems and processes, because that's what sales is as well. It's a repeated action that goes through a series of problem-solving steps, asking questions, qualifying, getting to the deeper hidden thing, you know. And that's what you're obviously doing. They're coming to you saying, you know, this is my problem. And you're like, let me ask you 10 questions. No, actually, let me tell you what your problem is.
You've literally hit the nail on the head because I was just thinking, I'm like, I am so bad at small talk. But I am so good at the deep talking. Like, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about the space and everything. Like, I'm all for it. Like, if I go to an event, we're not talking about the weather or what's going on in the world. Like, we're talking about something really substantial, right? And I just love listening to what people are experiencing. I'm like, and if it's bad and if I have something that can solve that, I'm like, great, I have the solution and I can give that to you. And I've learned over the years that selling is actually, or like even just the money that you get from selling is just a value exchange.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So yes, it was the sales, you know, the sleazy sales car person. Yes. And I'm trying to like shift that. And that's why like my content these days is very much like, yes, marketing is good and we need it. However, have you looked at your processes? Like where are the leads actually going?
Yeah.
Just to get people conscious of that aspect of their business.
Yeah. And it comes back to what you said before about the silos. Like you just can't operate in silos because each department or each area is going to think it's succeeding or failing. But unless they're working together, they actually can never be complete. Even if working in silos, they succeed to a level, that can only be amplified if they actually work together and create, you know, I think the biggest part is that feedback loop.
That's right. And if that's just communication. So like if you, us humans, we're meant to be able to do that.
Come on.
Right? Come on. It's the breakdown of communication that's like everyone's thing. But yeah, and I was just thinking that constant feedback is one, going to make things better, but also two, you're going to start looking at the different aspects of that funnel, which is like, I feel a lot of small businesses always look at top of funnel activity. They never look at the middle or the bottom. And they then expect like, how did someone go from the top to converting? It's like, well, what efforts and what formats and functions have you put towards the middle of funnel and the bottom of funnel stuff? So that's our job. You have to educate them because no one knows this. They didn't go to school for it.
No, totally. And nor did we, you know.
No, I just couldn't know.
It's just that we've seen it. And I think that's the thing. When you work with a multitude of businesses, you start to see it and you start to go, oh, okay, this is that problem the other person had. Oh,
Yeah.
hang on, this is a universal roadblock. And, I think it's quite nice to be able to see those trends and then adapt your own content and your own processes and your own selling. Like when I think about what we do as a business now in terms of the product offer, it's, year on year built from somebody needing something, somebody asking for it, and me going, oh, yeah, I think we can do that. And then building it out. I started in 2010 doing like little strategies, mini strategies, and Facebook posts essentially. And then it was like, oh, you've got a really shit website. I could probably rebuild that for you. And then, oh, ads is launched. Well,
Yeah.
we'll do ads for you. And then getting the right team members to take it on as experts. But it's from listening. Like every service that we've offered has been from listening and going, oh, you need this thing. That's in our wheelhouse. We could do that. Makes sense. Okay, let's make that an offer. And it's that listening to your customers' needs and understanding. And I'm seeing the connection now, like the pennies dropping. And you only really get that if you're at the coalface doing the
Yeah.
sales.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Because I think how you've built your business, that it's so smart because it's there. I mean, of course, for instance, you have businesses like Tesla and Apple who were like, we've got this product. There's no such thing in the market. Nobody knows they want this yet.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good for you. But in terms of service, people know the problems they have. They just don't know how to solve them. And maybe they don't know how deep their problems go or where that problem started. And then that's your job to kind of dissect that and whatnot. But yeah, everything that I've done since I've started my business is off the back of feedback. It's off the back of, oh, do you happen to know how to do this? Or do you know what a profit and loss looks like? I'm like, yeah, I look at one every month. And they're like, do you know how to take that data and then have it feedback loop to the marketing kind of thing? I was like, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like trying to get the marketing to talk to not only the sales, but all these functions to talk back to the business development, like all the KPIs, the phasing and everything. It has to all talk to each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
And hoping it lands.
Yeah, totally. And I think what we've tapped into as well is that there's the data and then there's the intuition. And it's like you have that, I think a lot of marketing is intuition, it's gut feel. And that comes from experience as well to go, well, I'm pretty sure this will work for that. And then the data is what helps you sanity check it. Did it work? What didn't work? What does the data say? X sold more than we thought, or that particular creative got the conversions or whatever it might be. It's like all that data then helps you to quantify what you thought, what you expected, what you planned for. So I think it's like such a fascinating relationship between, the hard data and then your instincts as well.
And you do need both because sometimes there's gray area and you have to make that decision. But I think the data also helps simplify things. So a lot of my clients, before they start marketing with me, it's more like they just don't know where to go or where to start or whatnot. But it's like once you have the data, well, carousels are really working and it's this format that's really working. So let's double down on that and use the rest of our resources and time on something totally different. So yeah, it does help them understand like where to put their time, where to put their money, rather than just keep doing whatever they were doing, which wasn't working.
Which wasn't working.
Yeah.
And totally. And I think it comes back to what you said at the start as well, like looking at it holistically, not just thinking that ads can solve all the problems, looking at it holistically and looking at all the areas, all those touch points that they could be playing with and what is going to have the biggest impact in what order.
And I would actually say on that, like, by all means, I'm not saying cancel your ads manager because that is not the case for a lot of people. But your ads manager is probably giving you a report every month about your results. And I would give you a recommendation. I'm sure Marianne would too if she was more confrontational. But I would give you a recommendation to understand what that's saying, or sit down with your ads manager and go, hey, can we go through this so I understand what these numbers are? Because then you can actually use those numbers and those recommendations with the team. I know there's a lot of analytic reports I've sent out, and like me and my friend who's also a business owner, and we just laugh at each other like, do you think they read that? Like
No.
I've started doing an exec summary and
Yeah.
I'm like testing them. Like, oh, what did you think about this?
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Yeah.
Because they need to be as invested as we are into the success of their business.
100%. We send out so many monthly reports that do not get replied to. And then every now and then I say to the team, just put a note in it that says, if you do not reply to this report, you'll be put on quarterly reports. That motivates some people to say, no, I do want the report, even though they never reply to it. And then some other people don't reply and they go to quarterly. But those reports have so much information in them and can guide you so much. And it is just a matter of, if you don't understand it, asking someone to explain it, because again, sometimes it's those clients that walk away and say it wasn't working. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
The reports are fantastic. And maybe what we never knew is that the amazing volume of leads we were generating, you weren't receiving the contact forms, or
Yes.
you didn't have a system of where to put them, or actually they all wanted, they were all in Upper Sydney when you wanted Lower Sydney, and we didn't know that that was happening. There could have just been this little thing that if we sat down and talked it through, we would have known and we could have cracked it for you. But yeah, that data that all of digital can provide you, Google Analytics, social analytics,
so good.
analytics. There is so much data to consume. And I used to talk about a long time, like, consume it like your P&L. Like, you're used to looking at a P&L and you've learned to get familiar enough about that. Learn to get familiar enough about your analytics from your digital marketing, because you're probably investing a lot in it, and it's probably the major way your clients are finding you, connecting with you, and deciding whether or not to do business with you. But we all shy away from it. It's too overwhelming.
And I think also, just from, maybe it's just my point of view, but if you do start to understand the data and how to read it and what it means, when you're actually briefing your marketers, when you're talking to your marketers, you're then starting to talk the same language, and you can actually get a deeper and better result out of that, because you're on the same page now. You're not just falling behind, or just, you can actually probably give some insight. You're like, oh, I saw this happen. Do you think that's because of this? And then, trust me, your marketers will be like, oh my gosh, they read it. Not only did that, they understood it, and they have a thought about it. Like, that's such great consideration.
Correct. Oh, you said if we did more first-person video, you think the campaign would do well. We'd love to do first-person video.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, like, it's communication, whether it's internal, external, that feedback loop is just so critical.
Otherwise, we assure you, the marketing team is like celebrating every month when we see green and growth and everything. And you guys are like, yeah, but nothing's happening.
It's not working.
It's not working. What do you mean? Let me out. Let me see. Show me.
And to your point, it's like, just give me the business.
Just give
it to me. I'll do it. I'll just run another business. Just give it to me.
That's right.
I know. So yeah. Oh, I love this chat. This has been a great chat. I think we've gone from ads into all different directions, which has been fantastic. So many good takeaways in here about that systems and processes, the communication, and really ensuring that you're not just trying to put eggs all in one basket, but you've done that hard work of setting those foundations.
Yeah. And honestly, once you have, and if you see an opportunity to run ads, they will work a lot better with that. Like, with that said, But I have had such a great conversation. I love the tangents. I love the little twists and turns.
I know.
It's been great. I just feel like it's just us, like, when we're in an event.
Just chatting. Just chatting. Everyone else has the privilege of listening.
Yeah, that's right.
But look, where can people connect with you? Where can they find you to learn more about you, to hear you talk about systems and sales as well?
LinkedIn is probably where I'm more prominent now, which is great. So it is Nataleigh Elzein, and I'm sure I can give you the links as well, Marianne.
Yeah.
And on Instagram, it's pinchstudios.au, and then obviously my website and things like that. But there's always opportunities to, and just have chat. I love chatting with people. So just say hi and I'll be like, hey.
Well, I'll put all that in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for your time today. It's been so good. And to everyone else, I look forward to talking to you again soon. That's a wrap on another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. If you're looking for done-for-you services, training to upskill you in ads management, or free and paid resources to help you plan and execute better ads, head to wiseupmarketing.com.au. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And if you know someone that would love this podcast too, go on and share it.